YouTube, we're reacting to Larry Bird 3-point shooting story. Best 3-point shooting story ever told. I still don't know if I still have Curry over Larry Bird, I think. People bring up the point that if Larry Bird played in this generation, he'd be better than Steph Curry, but I feel like those are just like, you always hear bits like that. You have to see it that happen, but it could be true. I don't doubt it, but as of right now, with both of them playing in their eras that they played in, I think Steph Curry is definitely the best shooter of all time, and that's coming from a LeBron fan, so you know how much that hurt to say. But yeah, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into the story.
Bird is one of the great shooters in the history of the sport, not even close.
Larry Bird's top 3 though, 100% top 3. The top 3 for me is probably Curry, Ray Allen, and Bird. But I don't know. I think I'd probably have Bird over Ray Allen. Yeah, I'll probably have Bird over Ray Allen. It's a tough one. That's a very close one. They might be tied second. I'm not sure. But, yeah.
Good. He was great. He's one of the top 5 3-point shooters of all time. That's how good Bird is. Oh, yes.
We're not
3-point shooting contests. He was phenomenal. Bird's a great shooter.
This is the face of a Larry Bird denier, because one seemingly innocuous comment about how great of a 3-point shooter Larry Bird was had him all in his feelings.
Doggy, it's just math. It's attempts, it's makes, and
JJ
it's
Redick is a good,
and there's no way you could ever argue Larry
though.
Bird is a top 3 3-point shooter of all time. There's plenty of people that have shot more, made more, and guess what? Made more at a higher percentage than Larry Bird from 3. He's not one of the greatest 3-point shooters ever.
Now, as someone who claims to be a student of the game, why in the world would JJ Redick say something so idiotic? In the words of the great Roy Jones Jr., y'all must have forgot. JJ Redick, this video is dedicated to you.
I lived that 80s era, and Larry Bird was one of the greatest 3-point shooters that's ever played this game. Fuck percentages. It ain't about that. It's about hitting big shots, things that he couldn't do as a player.
Larry Bird hit more big 3-point shots than anyone, even to this day, and he did it in supreme fashion while trash talking every step of the way.
We're playing Phoenix and we're way ahead, okay? When we're down in the old Saddle Dome that they had outside.
Right.
And Larry, we're playing good as a team. Larry has the worst fourth quarter known to man. I mean, he's throwing the ball to the other team. I'm like, good Lord, we had like a 15-point lead. Next thing you know, we're down 2. And I'm like, how in the world are we going to lose this game, man?
So we have a play, out of bounds play. Larry says, I'm going to bust off the play, and I'm just going to come out, and I'm going to shoot a 3. And I'm like, no, don't do that. I'm like, let's shoot a 2, please. Go to the hole, try to get fouled. Let's just get into overtime, see if we can't win this game.
So, Larry not only tells me that, he walked by the bench and says, typical Birdie, just real slow, fixing to bust a 3 on your guys and go home. And so he breaks the play.
Max looking, loops it to Bird.
That's one-legged fader.
It's good! It's good! And the Celtics win it! Bird hits and the Celtics win it!
Bro pointed at him.
Three-pointer by Larry Bird.
Bro said that's on your head top.
And he gets the ball, jumps out, busts the play, comes out, gets the ball at the slot, shoots the ball. As the ball's in the air, he kind of turns towards the Phoenix bench and yells, "Told you so!" Takes off running to the locker room. And I just started laughing. I was like, oh, man.
That was Birdie. And he had the confidence. Man, that dude had so much confidence. He talked to the coaches. He talked to everybody. He was talking trash all the time, man. But fun. Great competitor, man.
And what Kevin McHale failed to mention is that Larry Bird had not taken a single 3-pointer that entire game.
Hey, JJ, I hope you're listening. Larry Bird was the first player to make the 3-point shot a strategic weapon. You weren't out there taking 14 or 15. He liked to use it as a dagger in the fourth quarter. Nobody else used it as strategically as Larry Bird did.
Even Michael Jordan understood that shooting too many threes was not the best way to win.
Well, we know that because Jordan wasn't really a known 3-point shooter.
When you have that mentality, as I found out in the first game, of making threes. You don't go to the hole as much. You go to the three-point line and you start sitting there waiting for someone to find you. And that's not my mentality. And I don't want to create that because it takes away from all phases of my game. My game is a fake drive to the hole, penetrate, dish off, dunk, or whatever.
You can do that off threes too. You don't just have to stand there and can't just shoot a three. You can be like Curry and just, Curry just runs off picks. I'm not gonna lie. He does just run around. But they're moving the goalposts from the best 3-point shooter to who's the most strategic. If we're talking about the best, who has the highest percentages, who has the most threes, it's Curry. But if we're talking about like timed threes, so it feels worse, I mean, I guess Larry Bird has that, but it's an interesting way to look at it.
But for some reason, JJ Redick actually thinks basketball is just a math equation. And he couldn't be more wrong. Just because 3 is more than 2 doesn't mean you should jack up a bunch of threes. Larry Bird not only was a great 3-point shooter, but he had one of the highest basketball IQs in NBA history. And even he never averaged over 4 3-point attempts per game in any season. But he shot them and made them when they truly mattered. Like in this game, when the Celtics were down by 3 with 7 seconds to go, and then this happened.
Crowd is standing up. It goes now to Bird. Bird goes up top.
One-legged faded three.
4 seconds left. He hits it.
Had to be his trademark.
My goodness.
And if you think that one-legged 3-point shot was luck, well, explain this. Because in that same game, in overtime, with 2 seconds left, and the Celtics down by 1, this happened.
Danny Ainge to inbounds for the Celtics, trailing by 1, 2 seconds left. Into Bird, he fires. Yes! And the Celtics win! Unbelievable! Larry Bird at the buzzer!
There's something to be said for the guy who does it when you have to have it done, as opposed to those guys that can do it for the first 3 quarters. But do you see Steph Curry? Can you say he's the best shooter that we've ever seen?
Yes.
No, I don't know about that. The thing is, anybody can shoot it when it's tied. It's when you're down 1 or down 2. I mean, how many guys make that shot?
Oh, okay. So we're moving the goalposts again from the best shooter of all time to the best 3-point shooter when you're down by 2 points or down by 3 points versus being tied. I respect Larry Bird 100%, but these people, their arguments are not lining up with what they're trying to prove.
But since JJ Redick loves his numbers so much, let's compare prime Larry Bird's 3-point numbers with Steph Curry's 2016 unanimous MVP season. Steph Curry shot 45.4% from 3.
Okay.
While Larry Bird shot 42.3% from 3.
Okay.
Now, in a vacuum, using only this number, the unsophisticated analyst might assume that Steph Curry was a better 3-point shooter than Larry Bird, but not so fast. How about we compare each player to the 3-point shooters of their own era? In 2016, the league average 3-point percentage was 35.4%.
Okay.
This means that Steph Curry was 28% better than league average.
Yeah.
In 1985, the league average 3-point percentage was 28.2%. This means that Larry Bird was 51% better than league average. So, in reality, Larry Bird dominated the 3-point line in his era even better than 2016 unanimous MVP
That is
Steph
a stat
Curry.
that you can use.
But numbers don't make an argument. Their only purpose is to supplement what we already know to be true.
If the 3-point shot was what it is today, back in the 80s, Bird would have scored 50 a game.
Let him talk.
Made every mid-ranger in the world. He was a 90% free throw shooter. outside of one jumper when he missed the Game 4 jumper against Magic. He had a broken hand. I don't recall ever a big shot in a big game that he ever missed.
So,
bro, sound like me when I'm defending LeBron. Bro, calm down. Oh no.
Answer this question. If you need one player to hit one 3-point shot to save your life, who are you taking?
Curry isn't known to be clutch, so I'm not going with Curry. Larry Bird has more of that clutch gene than Larry Bird has more of that clutch gene than Curry does, so I'll give it to Bird for that one for sure.
Steph Curry, who lost the 3-point shooting contest 5 times to his peers, or Larry Bird, who won the 3-point shooting contest back to back to back?
There were pros back then. There were cons back then. But to say anything disparaging about
three
Larry
and
Bird
one.
and his perimeter shooting and his
My
3-point shooting,
gosh.
Asinine. Like JJ, he probably beat your ass in a 3-point shooting contest today.
And though it sounds like hyperbole, this is what a 60-year-old Larry Bird did at an Indiana Pacers practice.
60-year-old Bird.
The whole team is just stretching, and Larry just walks on the court, grabbed the ball, and started jacking threes like, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Like I'm looking at everybody. I'm like, do y'all see this right now?
I haven't heard this story.
He made like at least 10 in a row threes, like just in a row, and walked off and sat like he ain't do nothing. Like it was regular, and folded his legs and just sitting there looking at us. I'm like, yo, this guy's nice. I'm like, man, that's a legend right there.
Speaking of shooting threes, Coach, you at the 3-point competition, walking in the locker room, who's playing? Did you really say that? Who's playing for second?
Yeah, I did. I feel so bad because Leon Wood never crossed the 3-point line. All he did was he always shot threes. So I thought he might be the competition. When I walked in there, he's sitting there, and I said, okay, now they're down to the nitty-gritty. Who's coming in second? You already know who's going to win this. I think they were a little nervous.
And after Larry Bird hit 11 straight threes in this final round, he decided to hit one off the backboard just for fun.
Oh, wait a second, off the glass.
That chick's had my name on it for a week now, and I knew I was going to win this thing.
And then the walk-off with your hand up. I mean, come on, Coach. Come on.
You know, when you're shooting them, you don't know what the score is.
Right.
But I had a feeling by the way the crowd was going, I had to make the last one. And that one there looked perfect all the way. So if it would have bounced out, I would have felt like an idiot.
Well,
but it went in, I got lucky and got the check and went home.
Larry Bird winning the long-distance shootout for the 3rd year in a row.
Now imagine that. Larry Bird, who didn't even see a 3-point line until after he entered the NBA.
Taken in the face, then now watch him shoot it. Unbelievable. You know how far away that is?
Give me those.
Somehow became the greatest, most clutch 3-point shooter of all time. And he did it in the most physical era of basketball. I don't care what JJ Redick says.
Right. When I watch Steph Curry off the ball in a playoff game.
Oh, he's great.
It's some of the most boring nonsense I've ever seen in my life. Bro's just, let's just go around, ring around. Let's do a figure 8 around picks. Oh, yeah, I'm wide open. The defender finally got tired. Give me that 3. Off-ball Curry is so... It's a cheat code, bro, but it's
grabbed and held by Marcus Smart. They're attached to him at all times.
Right.
Then when I watch Larry Bird come off a pin down and no one's within 5 feet of him and they're shooting the gap. You're telling me one is more physical than the other? You're telling me that's more physical than Steph Curry being grabbed and held for 48 minutes?
Yeah.
Well, JJ continues to embarrass his university and diminishes the worth of a Duke degree by speaking with such colossal ignorance in public, with such arrogance and
colossal ignorance. Good Lord. Who is this? Bro is glazing Bird, not gonna lie.
Authority. It's idiocy that suggests that a no hand checking finesse league where people are camping out 42.5 feet from the basket is more physical than the NBA of 30. Oh my God, let's talk about 50 or 60 years ago, but even 30 years ago. When does he come up with this? This defies common sense.
How does LeBron kicking a fan out have to do with any of this, bro? I'm not gonna lie. Whoever runs this channel, we have to talk.
And Michael Cooper, who was Larry Bird's toughest defender in the 80s, took J.J. Redick's comments very personally.
You know what? Watch your mouth, man, when you're talking about former players and who can do this and who can do that.
Watch your mouth, man.
The game changed in the 80s because it was so physical. In today's NBA, I don't know what game he's looking at. You can't touch the guy. Anytime you touch anybody, a three-point shooter, come close to them when they're landing, it's a foul.
And you're blaming that on the game. You have to blame that on the refs. Stop blaming that on the players. That has nothing to do with Curry. The fact that the ref calls it, it is the ref's fault. Blame the refs. That's one thing y'all generation don't understand, bro. You have to. Why are you blaming Curry for them calling a foul if they touch him? It has nothing to do with Curry. It makes it an easier game. Yeah, sure. It makes it easier than back then. But that's the ref's fault. It is a lot easier because of that. But even without that, Curry is a great three-point player, a three-point shooter with or without like easy fouls being called like that.
To say that Steph is getting more contact, man, that guy has no clue of how basketball was played in the 80s. And I guarantee you this, J.J. Redick, if you had played in the 80s, this is Michael Cooper talking, I'd have locked your ass up. You wouldn't have got a shot off. You wouldn't have got nothing off. You had spent more time on the bench than on the floor. When I was on the floor, you couldn't have played when I was on the court.
J.J. Redick was not that great. I mean, he was a decent shooter. He wasn't nothing to be proud about. So he probably would lock him up, but doesn't really prove much.
I mean, for J.J. Redick to disrespect an entire generation of basketball players, what did he expect?
First of all, Redick don't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm going to say it, right?
I agree.
He don't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm like, what basketball was you watching? To say something as idiotic as that is ridiculous. And for J.J. Redick.
We all have our slip-ups. I said something crazy on the first ever reaction I did on Michael Jordan. Bro, I got dragged in those comments. But hey,
who've played this game, I'm very
disappointed.
It.
The same
that
way
he
JJ
said something so stupid. When I hear that, and I'm like, you really don't know, do you? Yeah. We had our time. It was a great time. It's their time now.
Yes.
But don't crap on us to prove your point. Yeah. Because it doesn't make sense and it's not valid. I don't hate on these guys.
You're responding right now.
Yeah.
He never saw off-ball. J.J. Redick never saw off-ball Larry Bird, so he can't really talk on that. But this play, by the way, bro, drop Curry.
It's not valid. I don't hate on this.
Look at JJ. Got him. Curry, get on the ground. Three.
I just don't like the disrespect.
Yeah.
And to say that about Larry Bird, it's just a stupid comment to make.
Unfortunately, somewhere along the way, common basketball knowledge was lost. But hopefully, these Larry Bird stories enlighten you to why the world fell in love with basketball in the first place.
And this particular play down, there's a timeout, and they're coming down, and Larry gets me at the top of the key, and he's walking me underneath this basket. He goes, Cooper, I'm ready to wear your ass out. What? Okay, I get down to my best defensive stance. He goes down the lane. He comes off the left side, and Robert Parrish sets a pick. And we knew the play. We knew what was coming up.
Oh, look.
And
Larry Bird off
ready,
ball.
And as Larry comes off the pick, shoulder to
One,
shoulder with Parrish, and I'm trailing behind him, he catches the basketball right about the elbow. And he gets the ball, and he goes up, and Kareem stops him from turning the corner. Larry catches the ball, he goes up in the air, and here I come. And I'm like, I'm getting ready to smash this shit, man. So I jump up, and I got my hand, and I don't know how Larry got this ball between Kareem and I. Because Kareem had his hands up. I'm coming with my right hand, And he had a great pass. Like I said, I don't know how he got it to him. Hits Robert Parrish, and Larry looks over his shoulder at me and he laughs. He said, "I told you, motherfucker." And you know what?
But it's also had a telling effect on Michael Cooper underneath the basket. They're wearing him out.
That's what made Larry larger than life, because if anybody in today's game, maybe Steph Curry comes off that, they force that shot up there. They try to get the shot off, but that's the difference between Larry. That play right there softens you up for the next time. Now Kareem's not going to jump out. Now Larry's wide open and shoot the ball. So I would expect former players to really understand that.
That's
but
true.
I never, ever discount another player at any decade. I hate Larry Bird, but I respect the hell out of that man. And Larry Bird was one of the greatest three-point shooters that's ever played this game. Fuck percentages. It ain't about that. It's about hitting big shots.
Okay. That's Michael Cooper and some other players' opinion on that. What do y'all think? Do y'all think Curry's better or Larry Bird's better? Do you think Larry Bird's more clutch, Curry's more clutch? I've said my opinion throughout the video. I'm not going to restate it at the end. But, yeah. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you on the next video.
I'm just talking on this beat. Like it's just you and just me. We can say the side of the beef.